Yes, let's talk about cicatricial alopecia. Now, there are many types of cicatricial alopecia. I like to always direct my customers who are experiencing any form of cicatricial alopecia to the Scarring Alopecia Foundation. It's an excellent website, scarringalopecia.org, scarringalopecia.org. And it's an amazing place because you will find basically the different forms of scarring alopecia, and it will show you different types of treatment that your doctor could prescribe during the process. Now, as trichologists, what can we do to treat cicatricial alopecia, and what it is cicatricial alopecia? First of all, whenever we talk about cicatricial alopecia is when the follicles die, basically, and that space becomes filled with collagen and cicatricial tissue. And of course, what happens is that the follicle will no longer be able to produce new hairs. And that's the important part of it. It's unreversible. So because you cannot reverse it, you have to treat it early. You have to do the best that you can to keep the follicles at place, keep them working, and some way you are able to at least reduce the area by, if you have a follicle, a working follicle who's only producing one single hair, one single strand, maybe you can upgrade it to 2-3 pieces of hair per follicle, and that will increase the area, that will make the area look greater. Also, increasing the diameter of the hair strand will make it look fuller, even though it's the same amount of hair. So there are very different techniques that we can implement into the process to help people who are experiencing cicatricial alopecia. Now, one of the things that happens here is that, again, we have the immune system working against the scalp. And again, we have to stop that immune response. We have to work with the inflammation. And for that end, we are able to stop the hair loss. And of course, later on, we can start working with other techniques to help the area improve.
Mm-hmm. I can add that scalp micropigmentation is a perfect solution for cicatricial alopecia.
Yes,
especially if there's enough hair to cover up the dots. Then because cicatricial alopecia, as Sergio said, that the follicles are already dead. If it is started maybe like if this picture, like how we see it, maybe some of these follicles are not 100% dead yet, so these can be revived by stimulation or microneedling or so on, but not the whole area, because if it has been diagnosed as cicatricial alopecia. And also, again, we have to know the root cause.
Yeah. That's one of the hardest part of it, understanding what caused it, and treating that inflammation is very hard for sometimes.
Yeah, especially the traction alopecia. It's when ladies put her hair in a very tight like hairstyles, then the pressure on the hair follicles, the continuous pressure on the hair follicles, will make it weaker and weaker until it dies. So the awareness, the education that we spread here over, and the hair wire will let you understand that we shouldn't go to that far where the hair follicle become dead, because if it's weak, it can be revived.
Yeah, and I'm going to touch base from the hairstylist perspective too, because I see this quite often, and I am a huge advocate. And those who are in the hair industry that do follow me, I also go as carried on in the hairstyling industry. I've been a huge advocate of education and making sure you understand if somebody is certified, licensed, or trained, because there's a lot of our industry, especially depending on the state or province that you are, where things aren't regulated. So applying hair extensions or opening up a quote unquote licensed salon and practicing licensed services when you need to have a business license and a license in your industry as a barber or hairstylist. And a lot of people don't realize that. And so I see often where people go on Kijiji or Facebook and they find somebody doing hair extensions in their area and they're not trained. There's somebody who just decided to get up and be like, I'm going to apply hair extensions, but they're applying them incorrectly, causing follicle damage. And until you understand how to apply them properly to prevent things like traction alopecia or even doing chemical burns. I've seen with Brazilian blowouts, a lot of people with chemical burns. I have one client, we're working on a lawsuit right now because I do investigate some stuff to confirm if it's scarring alopecia for people. But she had somebody put a Brazilian blowout, which is illegal here where I am, put it on and left her.
Whoa.
To go home and wash it out herself. And she has
No way.
Yes, severe chemical burns. I have another young gentleman, which I've been helping with. He went to a licensed barber in a town just outside in another province from here, and he's coming to see me now. And the barber used unsanitized barbering tools, caused a fungus on his scalp and caused a permanent scar on there. And it was because he didn't sanitize his tools. And a lot of licensed people were trained to sanitize, we're trained to clean all this stuff. And so it's very important for you to also understand where people are educated in doing what they're doing too, so we don't cause permanent damage. Right? So I see it quite often. I'm a big advocate of being aware, and you have the full right. You have 100% right to challenge and ask somebody about their education. Were they trained? Maybe it is education that they've been passed down, which I'm a firm believer of apprenticing under, like, you know, if you're you grew up in a salon or your aunts were hairdressers and you grew up an apprentice as somebody, yes, that's the same education. But say somebody just decided, oh, I'm going to do hair today and start applying extensions without having any previous experience from being passed down from, say, their mom or their grandma or their dad, or actually going to school for it. That's totally different. So you have all the right to ask. You can also ask for any other certificates if they are approved by, you know, their local city with a permit. We have to have an inspection to make sure that we are sanitary to open. You have the full right to ask for that, and especially when it comes to things like chemical burns or straight blading and all of that. So
very important stuff. Very important, guys.
All right, next one. All right, so we went over the 4 major types of alopecia, but these are other common ones that we see when we break down. I just wanted to put these in here because we see this quite often, and I don't know about you, but me in my chair, I'm seeing a lot of people with trichotillomania.
Yeah. So yeah, trichotillomania, it is because of the stress that after the pandemic, actually, that happened for a lot of people. I saw a lot of people who are suffering from trichotillomania. And it is not only picking up on the hair. Trichotillomania means that person will pick up on the hair without themselves aware of they are doing that. And it is just a response from their nervous system. Sometimes it will be for guys on their, you know, beard hair, or sometimes it will be hair from the scalp or the beard, or even hair body. And this is very sad in a way, because the only solution for that is mental health. Yeah. And these days, mental health is a big issue after all what we went through the pandemic, and a lot of people lost their jobs or loss of dear ones. So this is need a psychiatric treatment, or just managing your stress with all kind of stress management that available.
Yeah, like you could see even a life coach or somebody who can understand with empathy and sympathy. I do see quite often, I have a few clients with trichotillomania that I see. I have a life coaching background too, so I do help and consult with people and work with the psychologist as well for a lot of these people that I talk to. But often, and I've heard hairstylists even saying this, well, just stop it.
Oh, you
can't.
Just
stop it.
You can't.
You can't.
You can't. It's an envelope. Actually, sometimes these people are picking on their hair without even knowing. They don't actually know. And it's an involuntary nervous system. Yeah. Nervous response, sorry.
Yeah, myself, like I notice sometimes my husband catches me. I have, I can't say dermatillomania, where you pick the scabs on the back of your neck when my psoriasis flares up, and I don't know because I'm nervous. So he knows that I'm nervous because I'm in there picking, but I don't even know I'm doing it. But now when he notices, he's like, Carrie, what's triggering you right now? I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess so. And little things, even driving on the highway, I'll do it.
Yeah, you're nervous.
You don't know.
Yeah,
that's the problem with trichotillomania. I mean, it's part of the family of OCDs, obsessive compulsive disorders, and to treat those guys, you should visit a a psychologist or psychiatrist who specialized in OCD.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the treatment, it's quite challenging because it's about behavioral changes, and most of the time, if people are not aware of them, it's very hard to change that type of behavior, if we may again. But the thing is, it's treatable. It's treatable, but people need to be willing to help out into the process. They need to really be engaged and be willing to accept that they have a condition, even though they don't understand that they're pulling their hair. Usually when we see that with the microscope, we see the way the hair breaks because of the length of the hair breakage. Many people will come to the clinic and they will say, oh, I have alopecia areata. It's not the same. There's very few traits, very few characteristics that we can pick up and identify. This is not alopecia areata. This is trichotillomania. You're picking your hair. You're pulling out your hair. No, I'm not. The evidence shows the contrary. So we need to let people into the process and let them understand that this is what's happening. It's normal. We can work it out. Take it easy. Be calm about it. And specifically with parents and kids, it's not like you're gonna be hitting the hand every time. That you're not gonna change the behavior because you hit the hand. What's gonna happen is that the kid is gonna hide into the room and they're gonna be pulling their hair out. So there are ways to treat it.
They feel shamed.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the
you
thing.
can't bring it to
people
attention like that.
Exactly.
There's
You guys are parents. You know what that is.
Yeah. That's really hard. Yeah. But there's two things that I heard about. I don't know how effective they are, but there's a band that they wear, and every time your hand goes up here, it shocks you. And then you will, oh yeah, okay, I'm not gonna do that anymore.
Yes, that's right. I know the band you're talking about. I can't think of the name.
I forgot, but yeah, I heard about it one time, and I never saw any client who used it in front of me, but I heard about it. And there's another one, like where the patch, where usually when they pick on one particular area, either here or here, wherever the area is. Then you put a fake skin over it, like a kind of barrier. So when the cosmetologist will put it for you and maybe glue it gently, of course, you don't want to do traction alopecia, but like you put it where, so when they go there, because it's a habit, then there's nothing to pick. So by time they will unlearn the habit of picking. And the last and most important is compassion.
Yes.
When I was my most stressed during college, when I was at school, my coworker, she put micro links, because I always do it on this side right here, and she put micro links. So every time I'd go in there, I felt them, like, oh yeah, okay. And cognitively I started training and being like, no, stop. And I never switched. It was because it's always this hand, and it's picking the skin. I'm not picking the hair, so I'm causing scarring alopecia on the back of my neck. And I found with that, it was just kind of like that reminder, like, when you go bite your nails and you could put the nail polish, it tastes gross. But instead here, I felt the beads. I was like, hey, no, I don't want to do that. I'm good.
Yeah, that's a very good way. That's a very smart way to do it.
Yeah, and it worked. I still do it once in a while, but not as bad as I used to, like during exam time. Yeah.
It's a thing, it's dealing with the stress that causes it. There's specific triggers to it, and that's why we need a psychologist to help us understand that.